I believe that self-care is the first step in making any kind of implementable change. To be able to build the self-care and basic human needs as a foundation to love yourself enough to then take inspired action in the direction of what it is that fills your heart. People come to work with me because I show up as me. I create a safe space to help people to go from thinking about doing something to actually doing it. I absolutely love seeing those OMG moments. It's like I can see the light bulb go off inside and the sparkle come out of their hearts, and they realise that they can do this. They've got it within them. We all have. Many of my clients are lacking motivation and need to find a way to become motivated, whether it's through somebody else in terms of being more accountable or actually being able to self-motivate. You can find me on Instagram @MelGizzy or my free Facebook group Feel Fab OMG. You can also connect with me at my website omgfabulous.co.uk. Hello. We have some people live here. Please let me know if you can. Oh, Amy, yay! I have some comments. So for those of you who haven't used StreamYard before, there is a little instruction saying, please allow Facebook access to StreamYard access to your Facebook. And what that will do is it'll help me to be able to see who's leaving comments, like beautiful Amy, who's left a little comment, and I can bring them up on the screen. I just did a little one on my home profile, just testing the comments like this. So thank you. Sorry we're a bit late. I ended up having to do a bit of an emergency drive around the block to get Freddie to sleep. Toddler life. Hey. Hi, Kerry. Yay, you're here. Fabulous. So wonderful to have so many people joining. I can see that there's 8 people online now, so the numbers are going up. Thank you for sharing this part of your Tuesday evening with me and soon to be Rob as well. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Melanie Gizzy and I'm on a mission to help people feel fab on the inside and out. And what I wanted to do this evening was bring a special guest online, because Rob is coming to Abergele very soon. He's going to be in StudiOMG doing a guided breathwork 1-hour session. And a lot of people are asking me questions like, well, what's breathwork class all about? I want to do it, but I'm not quite sure. And Rob's not from the area. He's from the Wirral. So he's travelling quite a way to come over to see us. So I thought, why not let him introduce himself and tell us a little bit about why breathwork is so important to him and how it's helped him on his personal journey, because I think it always helps when you can actually hear somebody's story that they've been through. Hello, Helen's here as well. Yay, fantastic. Thank you. If any of you do have any comments or questions at all, then please just whack them in, and as soon as I see them pop up, I will hit the button and then Rob will be able to see them too. So without further ado, I'm going to see if he's waiting backstage. Drum roll, please. Ta-da! Here he is.
Evening, Mel.
Hello,
I have to say, I don't think I've ever had a drum roll before, so feel quite honoured by that. Thanks very much for having me on. I do appreciate it, and I really appreciate the drum roll.
Oh, my pleasure. You see, this is what you get when you come into Abergele in North Wales.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on here and do this as well, Rob. So really appreciate it. And it's so lovely how we've been connected through a mutual friend who said Gaynor said, didn't she? Oh, I know somebody who'll be great in your studio. And then we got in touch and got connected and we spoke. And I think it was 48 minutes our first phone call, wasn't it?
It was, and it certainly didn't. It wasn't meant to be, I don't think. But I think when you speak to someone who's got similar ideals on how to live your life, then the conversation flows quite easily, and that's pretty much what happened, wasn't it?
Yeah. So would you please be so kind as to give us a bit of an introduction to you and talk to us about a bit of your backstory and how you got involved with breathwork, please, if you wouldn't mind, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Rob Blackburn. I'm an accredited Oxygen Advantage and Yoga Lab breathwork instructor. I'm from Birkenhead. and my company's called the Inner Strength Matrix. So breathwork is something that I've practiced in my personal sort of rituals, if you like, for many, many years. And it was something that helped me bounce back from some quite harrowing and traumatic experiences that I've had in my life. So I'll just, without meaning to sort of depress everybody, I'll just talk through some of the challenges I've had because it's such a key sort of component to where I am today. So my mother has got a genetic illness and has had that since I was a child. She's now in a sort of permanent vegetative state. It's very, very sad. I'm watching her deteriorate throughout my sort of childhood and into my adulthood has been very traumatic. And when I was in me early 20s, I was involved in a very serious road traffic accident, which left me with a traumatic brain injury and various physical um, ailments that restricted me mobility for a period of time. Um, and what I found after I'd been involved in the road traffic accident was that a lot of my personality and who I was had changed, and it sort of manifested with, I think, some of the trauma that I was experiencing and hadn't dealt with relating to my mother's illness. So that sort of took me to quite a dark place. And what I found was I was sort of in and out of GP appointments, consultants appointments, things like that. I was prescribed various sorts of different medications, but none of them seemed to have any sort of impact on me. And what I decided I had to do while my life was basically falling apart around me was I would have to try to find a way to resolve the issues that had built up inside me. And that's pretty much how I discovered breathwork and cold water exposure therapy, which is the other aspect of the inner strength matrix. So spent many, many years sort of experimenting with different types of breath work and other things as well that weren't as successful for me. But I realized relatively quickly that breath work was the one thing that consistently had a positive impact for me. And what I decided to do during the COVID lockdown was actually try to share my knowledge with other people rather than just keeping my practices to myself. And that's pretty much what's taken me to being on your screens today.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Rob, because I know it's really personal, but by sharing these stories and how we've got to where we can, people can resonate with us, can't they?
Yeah,
And the,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing for me is that I'm no stronger than any other person. I've been to the depths of despair, and this was part of how I came back. And if it's helped me, then if I can help somebody else to lead a better life, I'd want to do that.
I think that's so key. And I'll let you in on a little bit of my story regarding breathing as well. Just recently, actually, it really made me realize how much I've come to use this as a self-care tool. So in the OMG Fab morning ritual, the B at the end of OMG Fab is for breathing. And I've been
Okay,
working probably with breathing. So I've been doing yoga for 8 years, and it's a key part of yoga practice, isn't it?
absolutely.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
tuning in to your body and being able to get yourself out of your head and back in your body. I didn't realize how much I relied on this until I've used it more recently with people. And in May, we had an experience where Amelia was really upset, and I was trying to help her to just breathe. And seeing her as upset as she was took me back to my teenage years when I was getting bullied in high school. And I
Right.
remember so many occasions where I was quite unkind to myself. And I've not spoken about them very widely or anything, but also going into my adult years where I just wish
Yeah,
I'd known how to breathe. Because
yeah,
if
yeah,
I'd have known
absolutely.
how to breathe in those moments of despair, it probably would have stopped me making some of the decisions that I did when I wasn't very kind to myself when I was younger. And I just hope that it becomes more of a thing into schools, because I know that they do some stuff in primary schools, because I've got really close network of ladies in my membership who've been primary school teachers. They tell me they do this stuff, but I don't hear of
Mhm.
it as much in high schools. And that's where the
Absolutely.
kids really need it,
Yeah,
because,
absolutely. And it needs to, particularly when dealing with some vulnerable people, it needs to be an appropriately qualified instructor who's delivering
yeah.
that as well, because some aspects of breath work can be quite hazardous when you're expecting people to hold their breaths for a period of times. Because of course, the ancient yogis, their key belief around breath work or breathing was the breath holds were the cure to all ailments. Now, I don't necessarily believe that, But one thing I do know is regularly practicing breath holding for relatively short periods of time, so you don't starve your brain of oxygen for too long, certainly makes you feel great when you've done it. That's what I'll
Yeah.
say from my own experience.
Yeah, I did the Wim Hof method workshop in March. So there was periods of that as part of the wind breathing, isn't there? And not for too
Of
long,
course, and
but
yeah, that's very much where my journey began. So I sort of discovered Wim Hof before he was very much in the mainstream, um, and at that time he was basically being pursued by journalists and scientists as a bit of a charlatan. That he was projecting the benefits of his method, and they were actively trying to disprove what he was sort of preaching, if you like. And there was actually one journalist who very much now is converted and is a regular practicer of the Wim Hof method. Um, I think, mate, what I'm keen to do is, I think with Wim Hof method, there's pretty much one style of breathing. This is not a criticism of Wim Hof at all, by the way, because this is where it all began for me, and this was
yeah,
all I practiced in me personal sort of practice for a long, long period of time. But there is pretty much only one style of breathing, and when I found that I had some positive effects from trying that style, I wanted to expand. And that now that I've obviously got a pranayama, breathwork qualification, and oxygen advantage, these are very different ways to breathe, and particularly pranayama. There are literally dozens and dozens of different methods. And I mean, I'm a big believer that my role is to share what I've got so people can find what works for them. So,
yes,
some people will try the Wim Hof method and go, "This is fantastic. I'll never do another breathing style." Other people will say, "That's awful. I'm never doing that again." So it's about equipping people with methods that work for them, that they find accessible. And certainly, again, from my own experience, Mel, I remember one time becoming quite distressed in a meeting at work, um, and the distress, the sort of panic attack was building, or the anxiety was building, and I could feel my breath getting more and more shallow. And one of the things that I wanted to really sort of identify from breathwork, and in particular now sharing breathwork skills with people, is using techniques that if you are to utilize them, nobody else around you would know. Because I think that's
mm,
so key, so that people would not observe your distress, or that you are acting in a strange sort of way. So, for example, suddenly breathing very, very hard,
yeah,
that type of thing. So just providing people with the techniques that when they feel those physical symptoms, or the brain beginning to send those signals, you can kick something in that nobody else knows you're doing. Because I
brilliant.
would have really liked that myself back when I was struggling. I wish I
Yeah,
had those skills. And there's still
yeah,
things that I utilize on an almost daily basis. And sometimes I do it just to practice and keep my hands in. Sometimes I do it because I'm planning, or plotting, if you like, a breathwork session going forwards for somebody. And sometimes I do it because I have still, like everybody else, feel some degree of stress and
yeah,
anxiety according to what is happening in my life. But the good
yeah,
news for me is, at one time I was crippled by those feelings, and crippled by intrusive thoughts, and a lack of understanding about why I was behaving in a way that I was behaving. And I'm actually really delighted to say that now I'm in a much different place, and all of those things have gone. And that's why I'm so keen to sort of share what I've got.
it's a good news story, definitely.
Definitely
And when
is.
you can
Yeah,
reflect
definitely
and
is.
look back, yeah,
Yeah,
then
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly, linked into um, linked into the issue about intrusive thoughts. Like at one time, this was something that was just seemed to be 24/7 running through my mind. And I tried meditation, and I tried things like that, and it didn't work for me. The voices would just come back. I would try to tag them. I would try to discard them, but they would keep coming back. But what I discovered very quickly, I mean, my definition of meditation is, it's a period of time where your mind is not focusing on whatever might be bothering you, or whatever might be stressing you, or just on daily life. And what I found very quickly was, if I followed the breath with my mind, then I didn't think about anything else, because I was following the breath. And that was my meditation. So if you ask me to sort of, sitting in a quiet spot with some Zen music, that doesn't work for me. And I know it works for people and other people, but it doesn't work for me. My brain is very active in quite a few different ways, and part of that is because of the traumatic brain injury. But if I follow my breath, all of those other concerns, at least temporarily, go. So I give my brain a rest, I feel recharged, and I'm ready to go again and tackle those issues that I might feel a bit overwhelmed with.
Yeah, great. I've just seen a comment here from Lindy saying, good to hear that, Rob. And I think that was in
Thank you,
relation
Lindy.
to, yeah. And she's also said, there's another comment from Lind saying, love hearing Rob being real and honest. See, people really appreciate it, don't
Well,
they?
yeah, and certainly a lot along those lines, Mel, I feel like now when I reflect and I look back, I wasn't open and honest with people about how I was feeling for a huge part of my life, and all that brought was misery for me and other people. So it's almost refreshing to be honest about it now, because now
Yeah,
I can look back and I can reflect on what I should have done, and certainly, getting my breathing under control and expanding my practice has actually provided me with some of the confidence to do that. So, if I maybe thought about it previously, I might have gone into some form of hyperventilation, or I would have felt those triggers about my breath going shallow, and it would have stepped me away from that honesty. But now I have the skills and the knowledge to be able to be honest about things that once upon a time I would never discuss. They were very personal to
yeah,
me, and I didn't feel the rest of the world needed to know about them.
yeah. But we keep those emotions trapped within our body, and then
We
it
do, and it
just,
does, and it builds up. Yeah,
it
it
does.
builds up, and certainly in terms of pranayama, I mean, this is how I view a sort of complete breathwork session. So there's three broad styles. So what I would ordinarily do in a class is start with a strong breathing technique to unblock those sort of tensions and to release the energy that's pent up inside you as well. And then a cleansing technique. So that's to cleanse whatever you've unblocked, and then a meditative technique to bring you back down to balance and let you step out on your merry way. However, um, I think on Saturday the 5th, when I visit Abergele, I'm going to end with an energizer because it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning and we all need some energy, I think, to
Sounds
through
good.
take us through the weekend. So there's lots. I mean, I would regard the Wim Hof method style of breathing as a strong unblocking technique.
Yeah,
My view is that you then need to balance things to complete your breathwork session and to
yeah.
keep your body on an even keel.
I can see that, yeah, because it's very much preparing you for getting in the cold water, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah. So it
yeah.
sends you into a hyper state, but if you're not getting into the cold, you don't necessarily then want to be jumping in the car and
No,
racing off. You need to be nice
yeah,
and balanced, and otherwise you'll have the kids on a racetrack somewhere running around doing laps. Come on, go
yeah.
faster, So that
Kerry's
was a
left a
terrible
comment
example
here.
to use, but there you go.
No, I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. Kerry's going to be coming in, so I know Kerry's already booked
Hiya,
onto
Kerry.
the workshop, isn't she? She's put love the energy idea to the Saturday session, so that's
Yeah,
good.
and
There's
again,
also a
what?
lovely.
Sorry,
Sorry, yeah,
sorry,
no,
Mel.
go on, carry
Apologies.
on. You say.
I was just going to say, I
Um,
mean, again, what I'm all about is really easy things that people will remember and can utilize themselves. I don't try to do anything that's complicated.
Brill, Brill. So, Chris Ian, he's left you a lovely comment here.
Hiya,
Great
Chris.
stuff. Rob is a great instructor, and I hope people jump on his session over in Abergele. Great experience. Yes.
Thank
So,
you,
we're
Chris.
looking forward to this. We are.
Yeah,
I'm looking
I
forward
am.
to
I'm
it.
really sort of. I'm feeling rapturous about it. I really am. I think it's really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really hope that you enjoy the experience. We all do. And then you can keep coming back and doing more, fingers crossed.
Well, that's
Because
the
it's
plan. Yeah,
something that
absolutely.
we need in Abergele and local surrounding areas. It's not far for many people to travel. So, and hopefully
Yeah,
this, you might even find other locations as well as the studio, but please do come back to
absolutely.
us. So
Yeah.
you said that you're gonna leave us with feeling energized on Saturday. Is there any
And,
top tips you need to tell us? What do we need to bring?
okay. My suggestion is for those people who might get a bit cold off doing this when we get into a meditative part. It doesn't happen to me, but I know some people feel go cold, so it might be worth bringing a blanket.
Okay.
That's just an idea for people to pack. I mean, people who often do yoga-esque activities often own their own blankets. But I know that on a previous session I've done, someone didn't complain that would be wrong, but they mentioned that they'd got very cold as a part of the meditative breathing aspect. So just that's a decent tip. I think if anyone has any underlying health issues, just please contact me beforehand. Because what I'll do is I'll tailor the session so everyone can join in. It's just I wouldn't want anyone who's got a pacemaker doing some very strong breathing and some breath holding for any extended period of time. I wouldn't want to put anyone under any sort of risk. So if anyone's got any underlying health issues, just let me know so I can figure out what's best for the group.
Brill. Thank you. So I'm so sorry if I went blank then. Somebody was trying to phone me. How dare they? How dare they? We've got some lovely comments as well. Tammy Green is saying it sounds awesome. It certainly does. You're going to come over
Tammy.
for it, Tam? Have a little trip to North Wales? Yeah, Rob, Chris has said, hey, Rob, you guys are in for a treat. Trust me. Yes, we can't wait.
Chris.
So for anybody who wants to book on to Rob's session, on the poster that I've shared on the OMG Melanie Gizzy page, I've shared it on my Instagram, I've shared it on my personal profile, you'll see Rob's website, his email address, his phone number, all on there to contact you directly to book on. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And if I can just leave everyone with an interesting scientific fact, so this sort of highlights the value of the breath to us all. So
Please do.
on average, we take 22,000 breaths a day. So that's inhale and exhale. And that's the most effective way of getting oxygen into our bodies, which fuels everything that we do. But also on the exhale, it's the most effective way of removing the waste, particularly gases, from your body. Okay. So, and it's also the most effective way of draining the lymphatic system. So if we don't do it properly, then our bodies don't work as well as it should. When we do it properly, then our respiratory system is connected to all of our other major systems, and we automatically feel better, we'll be fitter, and we'll sleep better, and we'll be stronger. So there's the scientific factor to kind of leave you with.
I love that. I love any science-based stuff to complement the holistic healthcare that we can provide. I did
Absolutely,
a Qigong class.
Absolutely.
Qigong.
Okay,
yeah, I went to my first Qigong class today, and we were tapping the meridian points and everything. And I was just thinking, yeah, I'm waking all these up. I was doing all this stuff from my shoulder and breathing with it and everything. And it was great. I've never done it before. I nearly fell asleep standing up, but it was wonderful.
Absolutely. As part of my yoga breathwork instructors course, there was a module on Qigong. But it wasn't something that worked for me. And all I found was I was just randomly hitting myself.
Oh.
Presumably because I was focusing on the breath and following the breath, which is what I was used to. So I realized that I kind of looked strange when anyone else walked into the front room and saw what I was doing. It just looked like I was just hitting myself. So it wasn't really for me. But again, breathwork isn't for everybody. Some people will find quite quickly, this isn't for me. There's other things that work for me. But it's about providing people with the tools that they can try to take, and then they can take them away. And if they work, fantastic.
Absolutely. And if you don't give it a go, then you'll never know. So it's time to just do it, isn't it? Lovely. Kerry said amazing facts. Amazing facts about breathing. It is so important. It certainly is. So thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for being here. Yeah. Lindy's saying she loves it. Thank you, Rob, so much for your time. I can't wait to see you and meet you in person, properly face to face, on the 5th of August at StudiOMG. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you for inviting me. Absolutely.
Oh, my
Thanks
pleasure,
very much.
my pleasure.
Thanks,
Have
Mel.
a good rest of the evening, everyone.
Definitely will. Thanks very much.
Bye.
You take care. Ta-ra now. Bye-bye.
Bye.